The Qadam al-Anbiya Central Headquarters said in a statement, in view of the United States' clear breach of its commitments and failure to implement the first provision of the war-ending memorandum of understanding, and in response to continuous and ongoing ceasefire violations by the Zionist regime in southern Lebanon, the ruthless killing and displacement of hundreds of thousands of the oppressed people of that land, and also given the failure of the Zionist occupying forces to withdraw from southern Lebanese territory, it announces that the Strait of Hormuz will be closed to vessel traffic. The statement added that this is the first step in responding to the enemy's breach of its commitments, and that if the aggression continues, further measures will be planned and implemented to compel the enemy to fulfill its obligations.
As tankers slow and tensions rise, Iran now claims the U.S. has already broken its promise, hinting that Hormuz could once again be slammed shut over fresh violations. Barely 48 hours after signing the peace deal, Tehran is moving to reclose Hormuz, saying new Israeli strikes in Lebanon amount to a breach that voids the agreement. With Iran openly furious and warning of possible missile fire on Israel as early as tonight, is Trump's 60-day deal already in serious trouble after just a few days on paper? As Qadam al-Anbiya commanders pull the lever on new measures, they accuse both the U.S. and Israel of betrayal, arguing that continued strikes have shredded the ceasefire's credibility. The world's key oil lifeline is choked again just as Israeli raids continue in Lebanon, raising fears that regional escalation could once again send energy markets into panic. Tehran now warns that tightening Hormuz is only the first step, vowing that far tougher responses will follow if what it calls enemy aggression in Lebanon does not stop.
Look, we did not sign this commitment for it not to be implemented. This commitment was reached after several weeks of very intensive negotiations, through the efforts of the mediators, the goodwill of Iran, and most importantly, backed by national strength and unity. Naturally, we will spare no effort necessary to ensure its implementation. However, as we have said, commitment in return for commitment. If the other side refuses to fulfill its obligations, the Islamic Republic of Iran will, in turn, take the necessary measures. This trip is, in fact, a visit aimed at demanding that the other side fulfill its commitments. Clause 13 of the Memorandum of Understanding is very clear. Negotiations for a final agreement will begin when the implementation of the commitments set out in clauses 1, 4, 5, 10, and 11 is started, and their implementation continues. Unfortunately, we are not witnessing such a situation. Therefore, during this trip and these talks, we intend to press for the implementation of the other side's commitments and to determine how exactly the other side intends to carry out its obligations. Well, the commitments are very clear. Clause 1 of the Memorandum of Understanding is the most important part of the parties' mutual commitments, namely ending the war on all fronts, including in Lebanon. We have adhered to our commitments. The other side was obliged to compel those under its influence, specifically the Zionist regime, to cease fire in Lebanon. In this regard, we have seen that they have failed to fulfill their obligations, and this constitutes a clear violation of the ceasefire understanding.
In a stunning reversal, Trump's boast about tankers pouring out of Hormuz has turned into fears of a total stop, as his 60-day bet on calm begins to unravel at high speed. With every new strike in Lebanon, Tehran is answering by tightening the strait, presenting the Hormuz crisis as direct punishment for what it calls the enemy's breach of the deal. All this comes just hours after Trump boasted that oil is all over the place and prices would tumble, a claim now colliding with Iran's threat to choke the very route he celebrated.
Our country's doing so well. Those ships are flowing out of the Hormuz Strait like nobody's ever seen before, actually. There were a lot of them, about 700 of them, and they're pouring out. The oil is all over the place. You're going to see oil drop so low. I hope the companies are happy about it. In Iran, where in 1 week, virtually, we knocked out their entire Navy, their entire Air Force, their anti-missile weapons, their radar. We knocked out everything. Now, some of the fake news would say, oh, we didn't do it fast enough or something. We took about a week. And now we have an agreement that was signed last night, and it's 60 days. They have to make a deal. Otherwise, we will do things that won't make them happy. But I don't think it's going to get to that. I think it's going to be very good. Remember, if we do that, then all of a sudden you're not going to have the oil flowing out of the strait too quickly, because people that own billion-dollar ships don't love missiles flying over them, don't love mines all over the water.
Trump wanted to sell peace in Hormuz, but Netanyahu's decision to keep pounding Lebanon may already have killed that promise, dragging the strait back into the line of fire. After warning that Washington had to keep them a little bit sane, Trump now looks like he is losing his grip on Netanyahu, whose actions keep colliding with the deal's core terms. If Trump cannot rein in what he once hinted was an insane streak in Netanyahu, his carefully staged Iran deal could face its first real collapse before the 60-day clock even runs out.
What have you learned about not just the exercise of power, but the limits on your power as a result of the conflict?
There are no limits.
No limit.
No, I haven't learned that lesson yet. I know there are, but, there are no limits. We defeated them totally militarily. I was asked by Pakistan, because they're close, to please not do any more. I said, I like them a lot.
And it certainly brought Iran to the table more than before. However, beginning a conflict, you had talked about you only wanted unconditional surrender. And the MOU doesn't look like unconditional surrender.
Well, it really probably is unconditional surrender.
It is?
I think so. Look, they have no military. They're all at the bottom of the sea. 159 ships, that's what they have.
Sure, but they could still menace. They only had these small one, Gashti boats or go-fast
look, you
boats.
call it what you want. I hear the JCPOA, the Obama nuclear catastrophe, which was so bad. When Obama left, he didn't hit their military.
Sure.
He didn't damage their Navy or destroy their Air Force. I destroyed the Air Force. They then put a new group in there, very good, but very nasty. I dealt with them. They're gone. They're all gone. And we're dealing with the third group, who I actually think is the smartest group. And I actually think it's regime change, if you want to know the truth. These are different people.
How is a regime change if
because they're different people.
But you have Khamenei Jr., you still have a lot of IRGC officials there.
They're different people.
All right.
Khamenei Jr. is different from the father.
You have a number
And we have people that are much less radicalized than the previous two groups, of which I knew them both. But think of it. Oh, why aren't you tougher? The only way I can get tougher is if I go in there for another 2 or 3 weeks and continue to bomb the hell out of them, right? But what does that get us? The Strait of Hormuz will not be open. Let's say I did that. Let's say I decided to do that. It was a decision I had to make. So right now, our stock market is through the roof. The oil prices are tumbling. The oil prices are practically the same as they were before I started. The big difference is that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. They're never going to have a nuclear weapon, okay? It's very clear and very simple. Some guys that I used to respect, I don't respect anymore. They're hardliners, but I have the argument with them.
Mm-hmm.
They're unable to win the argument with me. They can't win it. And so they go, here's the end of the, all right, I don't care. I still don't like it. Okay, that's what, you're so cynical. If I went further, the stock market would be much lower. Now think of this. I have one primary wish as president. In terms of people, I never want to be the late, great Herbert Hoover. So this is the kind of thing that could cause a worldwide depression. Excuse me, just 1 second. If it weren't for Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu worked well with me, but he will tell you, we're the ones with the guns, we're the ones with the whole deal, we're the ones with the B-2 bombers, etc. If it weren't for Donald Trump, Israel would have been eviscerated.
Your relationship with Netanyahu's...
It's good, but we have to keep him a little bit sane.
Are you going to be able to control Israel from attacking Lebanon?
Yeah, I will be. I mean,
How?
I wonder. They have a lot of respect for me, and they do as I say. Remember this. If I don't terminate the JCPOA, remember, that was a road to a nuclear weapon, legally. It says right there. And Obama thought he could pay them off. He gave them billions and billions of dollars, $1.7 billion in cash.